Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the absolutely mind-blowing financial transformation of Formula One. This isn't just about racing anymore. It's a world where the teams themselves have become billion-dollar assets, and the on-track action is matched only by the high-stakes deals happening off it.
Okay, so let's just start with this number right here, $6.5 billion. Now, you might be thinking that's the value of the entire sport, right? Or maybe the top few teams combined. Nope, not even close. That massive number, that is the value of just one team, the one and only Scuderia Ferrari. It's now one of the most valuable sports franchises on the entire planet, worth more than a whole bunch of NFL, NBA, and Major League Baseball teams. It's just staggering.
And this really puts it all into perspective. I mean, look at that. Even the average team on the F1 grid is now worth a cool $3.6 billion. You know, just a few years back, only a handful of teams were worth over $1.5 billion. Now, every single one of them is.
So, the big question is, how on earth did we get here? What was the magic formula that turned these racing teams, which, let's be honest, were famous for burning through cash, into one of the hottest tickets for investors in all of global sports?
So, what was the engine behind this incredible boom? Well, it wasn't just one thing. It was really a couple of key catalysts that came together and completely changed the entire economic landscape of the sport.
First up, the cost cap. You really can't overstate how much of a game changer this was. For the first time, it forced teams to be efficient. It put an end to the days of just outspending your rivals, and, maybe for the first time ever, created a clear path for these teams to actually make money.
And you don't have to take my word for it. This quote from one of the team owners just nails it. The sport shifted from being this endless spending war to a real business competition, where being smart with your money is just as critical as being fast on the track.
But it wasn't just the cost cap. You had this massive surge in global popularity, especially with a younger audience. You have new, glamorous races in huge markets, and, of course, the whole Netflix effect from Drive to Survive that brought in millions of new fans. It all just created the perfect storm for this kind of explosive growth.
All right, let's take a look at the very top of the grid. This is where you find the giants, like Ferrari and Mercedes. And they're really perfecting the art of turning their brand power into pure profit, but they're each doing it in their own unique way.
Ferrari's strategy is pretty straightforward. Lean into that iconic, legendary brand. It's so powerful that their sponsorship and branding deals brought in over 200 million euros in just one quarter. And then you add the Lewis Hamilton effect. Bringing in a superstar like that is like a magnet for even more high-end luxury brands.
Now, Mercedes, also valued at a staggering $6 billion, does things a little differently. Their ownership is this perfectly balanced three-way partnership, and it's that unique structure that allowed their team principal Toto Wolff to pull off an incredibly clever and very profitable financial move.
The news broke about a huge stake sale, right? A deal that put this eye-watering valuation on the team. So you have to wonder, how did he manage to cash in on that incredible value while still holding on to all his power and his voting rights inside the team?
Well, here's the genius part. He didn't sell a piece of the team itself. He sold a small 15% stake in his personal holding company, the company that owns his shares in the team. It was a brilliant strategic move that let him capitalize on that massive valuation without giving up any control.
Okay, so that's the view from the top. But honestly, some of the most compelling stories are the incredible turnarounds happening further down the grid. We're talking about teams that were basically on the brink of collapse just a few short years ago.
And Williams Racing is the perfect example. I mean, this is a legendary championship-winning team that was, and I'm not kidding, apparently tracking its car parts on Excel spreadsheets. It gets bought for just $200 million. Now, just 5 years later, with some patient new ownership, its value has shot up by over 1,100%. That is just an incredible turnaround.
And it's a similar story over at McLaren. This is a team that was selling off historic assets just to keep the lights on. Now, it's a profitable $4.4 billion powerhouse. It's fully backed by Gulf ownership, and it's run by a CEO who's an absolute wizard at landing these monster sponsorship deals. So finally, let's talk about the teams that are playing a completely different game. These are teams where winning on track is actually serving a much, much larger corporate strategy. For them, turning a profit isn't even the main goal.
Okay, this slide shows a really fascinating contrast. You look at McLaren and you see a really healthy profit. But then you look at Red Bull Racing, the most dominant team on the grid, and their profit is tiny. In fact, it's more than 30 times smaller.
So what gives? How can the team that has been winning basically everything in sight look so much less profitable on paper than one of its biggest rivals? It doesn't seem to add up.
And the answer is actually pretty simple. For the parent company Red Bull, the Formula One team isn't supposed to be a profit center. It's a billboard, a massive, high-speed, global marketing tool designed to sell billions of cans of energy drinks. And when you look at it that way, their F1 operation is an unbelievable success.
And if you look to the future, you see teams like Aston Martin and Audi playing the long game. These are huge strategic investments by major car manufacturers. They're pouring in money now, snapping up talent, all to position themselves to fight for championships when the new rules kick in for 2026.
So when you put it all together, it really comes down to these three things. You've got newfound profitability thanks to the cost cap, you have extreme scarcity, there are only so many teams you can buy, and you have this unstoppable global appeal. It's created the absolute perfect storm for investors.
So that leaves us with one final thought. Is this incredible growth sustainable? Are these valuations going to keep climbing into the stratosphere? Or are we maybe watching a bubble that could, one day, burst? The battles on the track are always thrilling, but right now, the race for financial dominance is just getting started.